Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Wednesday, November 21st, 2018. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, New York Times reveals Donald Trump wanted to prosecute Comey and Clinton as recently as the spring of 2018. Meanwhile, what's that?
I've grown a lot since then.
It's all changed. I'm much more mature. Meanwhile, Trump wants to pardon Mohammed bin Salman and his acting DOJ, Matt Whitaker, up until last year, was living off of the conservative dole. Who was paying? We may never know. Trump administration allows Kentucky to add work requirements to Medicaid again. And don't eat romaine lettuce unless you're a libertarian and don't believe in the FDA. Meanwhile, Nancy Pelosi runs circles around Seth Moulton and will retain leadership. Migrant family separation cost $80 million. Add that to the tens upon tens of millions for our military going down to the border. And America is being made great again. And buckle up, folks. It's starting to look like the Trump recession is forming. Meanwhile, progressives are seeking committee power in Congress, as so they should. And lastly, we're anticipating the potential for a special guest today. We will also get to your calls early. It could very well be a Freebie Wednesday today, folks. All this and more on today's program. I'm not going to lie, ladies and gentlemen. I am not feeling well. Today was one of those mornings where, in retrospect, you wake up and you're like, what were we thinking? Why didn't we do a pre-tape today? There's no one. I mean, I have a feeling Brendan and Matt are both looking at me like, we had that thought. We had that thought well in advance. Well, no one articulated it to me. I'll just tell you that right now. But people are. But I am sensitive to the fact that people are driving to places today and tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Maybe you're getting on a plane. I hope for your sake you're not. Pain in the arse on a day like today. But so we thought that you would enjoy a little bit of politics and entertainment today on your ride home. That's the theory. There will be no live show tomorrow, and on Friday we will have a pre-recorded interview. But we will be up on YouTube Live. We have or in real time, I guess.
A YouTube premiere. So the live chat's going to be there for everybody.
There you go. So
community. That's what it's about.
And meanwhile, hopefully I will feel better by then. We're going to get into some of the stuff of the show, but before we do, 2018, as you know, has been a difficult year for human rights. But have you ever wondered how rights abuses are documented around the world? You probably have, with the sheer volume of global crisis we're seeing, from civilian casualties in Syria to ethnic cleansing in Myanmar to the caging of children on U.S. borders. It's critical we expose the truth in order to defend the rights of all, bring those responsible to justice. Well, if you've been listening to this program for any period of time, really going back to when I was on AM Talk Radio, you will know that Human Rights Watch does just that. They are an independent, nonprofit organization known for their accurate fact-finding, impartial reporting, and targeted advocacy. They often do so in partnership with local activists and human rights groups. They accept no money from any government, but rely on the support of informed, dedicated people just like you. Matt, you had mentioned to me, was it yesterday, about a Human Rights Watch report?
Yeah, Human Rights Watch did some work on Airbnb, pulling out of, I think, parts of Israel because of their anti-Palestinian or no Palestinian options.
I mean, they're all over the place and covering all of this stuff that's hugely important, and nobody else will do it, frankly. So if human rights are important to you, visit hrw.org/majority to make a donation and support its vital work around the world. When you do, not only is your gift a tax deduction, it will be matched dollar for dollar until 2019. That means your donation will go twice as far to advance justice and defend the basic dignity of people who need it most. Again, that's hrw.org/majority. I almost want to, every now and then I get that idea of like, what if I had the ability to actually, I wielded any power other than occasionally getting people to work on this show to show up here in the office. And I do mean occasionally. Incidentally, Michael and Jamie, I have no idea where they're. But I think one of the things that I would do if I ever achieved a dictatorial power in this country, it would be to suggest that if you have any type of television program, you really aren't allowed to have political guests on and allow them to say things about politics unless you're going to critically think about them. Right? It's one thing to say like, oh, we're going to have, we're going to have Newt Gingrich on to find out what makes this guy tick. I don't know that I would watch that. I already know the answer. He's running a grift. But that's much better than allowing him to actually run the grift. Stephen Colbert had on last night Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse, who is, a bit of a poser, I think is the way to put it, right? I mean, he's sort of... and look, if you want to have Ben Sasse on and ask him, I don't particularly like it when people are, politicians are humanized that much. But I understand. Okay, fine. Some people I say should not be humanized. Like Dick Cheney. You should not humanize him in any way. I don't even care if it's like a depiction of him as a bad human. I think you should not humanize him. But when Ben Sasse gets on and starts espousing political ideology and you leave it unquestioned, and it's annoying and it's detrimental long term. Here's Ben Sasse on Stephen Colbert Show.
How would we find out if she did that?
We should know all that we can know.
Pause it for 1 second. This is Ben Sasse giving a very specific answer on Ivanka Trump's emails. Now, do I think Ivanka Trump's emails are a big deal? No, we obviously have a problem with like the way that we organize this stuff. And, clearly it was big enough for essentially the entire establishment media to make a narrative of it and for the Republicans to do literally 6 investigations about Hillary Clinton. But leaving that aside, here's Ben Sasse, who refuses to take a position on it, but seemingly reasonable.
Find out, how would we find out if she did that?
We should know all that we can know.
Congressional
so there should be
investigation.
An
Congressional
sure.
investigation. Okay.
Yeah.
Seriously, really?
Well, I don't know the particulars of this story.
And
but
how
if
would you
government...
find out the particulars of the story? Perhaps with a
So it turns out there are
congressional
three branches
investigation.
of government.
Yeah.
They're supposed to check and balance one another. So
how
I
has
think
that
you
been
and I
going the last 2 years, the check and the balance thing over there? Because it sounds like a lot of check. I think we lost the balance somewhere along the line.
The Congress doesn't work well.
It doesn't. Okay, here's the thing. Is that something, because that's something that we could agree on. The Congress doesn't seem to be working well. How long have you actually been in the Senate now?
Almost 4 years.
4 years. What do you think the problem is? Why doesn't the Congress function the way that I think the founders intended?
Yeah, so
Pause it for 1 second. This is a very easy question for people to answer. Why has Congress not functioned the way that it's supposed to in terms, and they're talking check and balance, they're talking about oversight of the executive branch. Now, the answer is quite easy. It is because the Republican Party has controlled both of those branches. And the Republican Party has, over the past 20, 25 years, in addition to being ideologically problematic from my perspective, but functionally in terms of Congress, have been totally derelict. And they are a death cult. And death cults don't really care about good government and accountability. But let's see what Ben Sasse thinks.
Congress function the way that I think the founders intended.
Yeah, so I mean, I think in 230 years of U.S. history, the Congress is probably at its second weakest moment. The founders didn't have a vision of the world where people wanted to be in politics, move to D.C. and stay there forever. You're supposed to think the place where you're from is the most interesting place in the world. And we use the term historically public service because you go to Washington to serve for a time and you're supposed to go back home. Right now, most people in Washington, their biggest long-term thought is about their own incumbency. They don't want to ever leave that place, and so they don't want to do hard stuff. So there's not a lot of checking and balancing. There's a lot of more kind of parliamentary instinct to defer to people in your own party, and the founders will be confused by that.
Pause it. You know what? The founders would be confused by a lot of things. I mean, this is such a ridiculous argument. There isn't something fundamentally wrong with politicians who want to continue to work in government. The bigger problem is that people leave and then cash in, frankly, on their service. But the idea that the founders would be confused by this, you know what else they'd be confused by? How people actually get to Washington. They fly. Are you telling me they fly in big steel cans? What? Are you serious? What are all these black people doing too?
What is the point he's trying to make about public servants? Like, if you look at that, actually, we call them public servants because you weren't supposed to do it for that long. That doesn't follow at all.
No, you're supposed to go do public service. It's supposed to be something different from having a job. The founding fathers would be absolutely shocked. They'd be absolutely shocked too, frankly, that what are their slaves doing as in the Senate? What is this whole thing where you now popularly elect a senator? What? That's insane. We were supposed to keep some type of power for the landowners.
They wouldn't be that confused by gerrymandering.
No, they wouldn't be that confused by gerrymandering. And what, again, explain to me this thing where they're flying. We had anticipated the internet. We knew that would happen, but we thought everyone would Skype in. We didn't think they would have the ability to fly. That's absurd. I'm so confused. This is just this is just ridiculous. And Ben Sasse, I'm sorry, can someone point to me that something that Ben Sasse has done that has been provided a check? I mean, this guy's so in touch with the essence of what the founders expected.
He's like Jeff Flake light, kind of. He's not going to go all the way, but he'll give you a little taste.
And I suppose Ben Sasse is going to wrap up his career in 2 years and head back to Nebraska. Is that what we're to believe? Ben Sasse is on his retirement lap right now. But it's annoying to me because right after this, all that Colbert does is move on to the next thing.
Ben Sasse's score here, we have the 538. This is actually fairly useful. The Trump score
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I would imagine it is quite low, right? Because he has been such a check.
Looks like he's pretty on board with how the checks are, how the balancing's been going.
Oh, really? What's he doing there? He's he's almost a 90%.
He's a B plus Trumper.
90%. In fact, he is like not less than a point away from his predicted score, based upon how well Trump did. Like his whole thing of like, it's more parliamentary, that people just subscribe to their own party. He has been there on just about everything. And the only thing he voted,
tariffs.
Yeah, tariffs and health care, which of course he was unbelievable.
Ben Sasse.
Yeah, so much for Ben Sasse. All right, well, let's get to the story about Khashoggi, because the CIA now has said that they have fairly significant evidence that MBS was aware of this. Now, it also is the most obvious answer that Khashoggi was, that Mohammed bin Salman was involved in this. First, let's start with Donald Trump being asked if he's letting MBS get away with murder. And here is Donald Trump's, essentially his statement. I mean, they released another statement that was all about justifying this position, but this is the position.
Are you letting the Saudis get away with murder? No. Murdering a journalist?
No. This is about America first. They're paying us $400 billion plus to purchase and invest in our country. That's probably the biggest amount ever paid to the United States.
Don't you believe the CIA?
They didn't make a determination. And it's just like I said, I think it was maybe he did, maybe he did. They did not make that assessment. The CIA has looked at it. They've studied it a lot. They have nothing definitive.
Well, I mean, a lot of people are asking, like, why would Donald Trump be so hesitant to hold the Saudis responsible for this, and particularly MBS? And the argument that it's about jobs and money is obviously bunk. I mean, people have debunked this all over the place. The deal is closer to $28 billion, and it goes to Lockheed Martin, and they're creating less than 1,000 jobs.
Close.
So close. It's so big. So big.
What, do you have $28 billion? Yeah,
I mean, and the number keeps inflating. Like, even this debunking was like, every time he mentions the $110 billion arms, like today it was like $400 billion, wasn't it? It just keeps going up. He just pulls a number out. The
dynamic scoring.
The more accurate answer as to what is motivating Donald Trump, I think, possibly could be found in a May 19th, 2018 piece in the New York Times by Mark Mazzetti, Ronan Bergman, and David Kirkpatrick. Headline: Trump Jr. and other aides meet with Gulf emissary offering help to win election. Donald Trump Jr., the president's eldest son, 3 months before the 2016 election, was part of a small group gathered at Trump Tower. One of the people there was an Israeli specialist in social media manipulation. Another was an emissary for two wealthy Arab princes, one of whom, those Arab princes, was Mohammed bin Salman. The third was Eric Prince from Blackwater. The emissary, George Nader, said that the princes who led Saudi Arabia and the UAE were eager to help his father win the election. They made some type of deal. The Israeli social media guy ended up getting paid a couple $1 million after the election. Nader was brought in multiple times into the campaign. Not the type of profile that you would have if your offer of help was rejected. But the question becomes like, is Donald Trump really the type of person to get help being elected and then just be incredibly loyal? For instance, let's say you were the first senator who came out and supported Donald Trump. Would he be loyal to you even if you killed somebody? And your name was Jeff Sessions? I think the answer would probably be no. I mean, I don't even think this is like a tit for tat type of situation, the way that Trump is acting. He may have some deal. Donald Trump Jr. may have some deal. Kushner may have some deal. Or the Saudis may have information that would be dangerous for them to share with other people about Donald Trump or Donald Trump Jr. Like, I mean, they made a deal. It is unclear what that deal was. And Donald Trump's loyalty is been proven time and time again to not necessarily be super
loyal.
deep.
The most loyal.
It's very strange. It's very strange what's going on here. Now, I will say that a lot of the players who were talked about in this piece, they've already talked to Mueller. Or they have been talking to Mueller. So we will probably find out. I have a feeling when Mueller ends up bringing out his report, if he does, that it's going to be much wider in its range than we anticipate. There may be some elements about Russia. There may be more. I mean, the collusion stuff seems to be pretty much of a slam dunk at this point. When you're trying to prosecute Comey, I mean, I would like to prosecute Comey, but it would be more like under the Seder bylaws. What do you do if you are a completely craven Republican media person and the CIA has said that MBS was involved. The Turks have said that MBS was involved. Every expert on Saudi Arabia says it's almost inconceivable that a 15-member hit squad would travel to an embassy, chop up a journalist who's an American resident, and MBS wouldn't know about it. What do you do if you are that craven Republican talker? Well, you continue to craven and talk. And here is Hewitt trying to come up with an explanation for how it is that the President of the United States, who's going on and saying, like, I needed to do it for the money. America needs this. Incidentally, not only does America not need Saudi oil, we buy, I don't know, 10% of our oil from Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia could raise the prices of oil internationally by choking off a supply from OPEC. But there's a report out today that, you can see it, Business Insider. Texas is about to create OPEC's worst nightmare. There's been so much drilling that's been going on in this country over the past, even under the Obama administration as well. There are new pipelines that are getting built all over Texas. And in Houston, the U.S. oil capital, shale executives are trying out different superlatives to describe what's coming. Tsunami, they call it. a flooding of biblical portions, an onslaught of supply are phrases that get tossed around. So in other words, Saudi Arabia couldn't be in a weaker position right now. If we are so worried about American oil, Americans' access to oil, then we should be nationalizing those pipelines and those oil refineries. But here's Hugh Hewitt to explain why Donald Trump is doing this.
The CIA has concluded that MBS was behind this murder. This has been reported by our news outlet, NBC News, among a number of others, including the New York Times and the Washington Post. Why is Donald Trump brushing off an assessment by his own intelligence community?
Well, I have to be cautious here because the CIA sometimes is wrong, as it was with its national intelligence estimate about Iran's weapons of mass destruction in 2007. Sometimes reporters, even great ones at my colleagues at the Washington Post and NBC, get fed information by the CIA which is incomplete to advance a narrative by a particular constituency within it.
Are you saying this is a conspiracy to lie to the press and attack the president?
There is often, oh my gosh, the agency often, ask David Ignatius of the Washington Post, they often push out a narrative that they want.
Are you saying that all of the reporters were duped by the CIA at NBC, at the Washington Post, and at the New York Times, and at all the other networks?
Not duped. I would defer to Shane to talk about how the agency
CIA,
works.
Hugh. I mean, it's in line with other intelligence from the Turks and from others. But go on.
Again, Katie,
yeah.
It's very possible that Khashoggi was ordered murdered by MBS.
All right, so pause it for 1 second. So here's the first argument. You can't believe the CIA. Okay, but what about the Turks? Well, you can't believe the Turks and the CIA. What about every other assessment that's come from any other expert on this? Well, okay, it's possible. I've done enough. I've laid that that little patch of doubt. But wait a second. Let me move on to a different argument. I'm going to retreat to another argument, Katie, if I could.
Ordered murdered by MBS. Very possible. What the president said today when he was going to the helicopter was to put into context that the Saudi Arabian relationship is very important. In the statement today, the very important second paragraph is about the real enemy in the Middle East, which is Iran, which is the greatest state exporter of terrorism in the world and has murdered hundreds of Americans in conflict in Iraq. Saudi Arabia matters to us because they're in alliance with the UAE, with Jordan, Egypt, Israel, and the United States. MBS is not Saudi Arabia. You've heard people like Lindsey Graham and others tell the president to be too invested in the crown prince, but he is being very strategic. So
he's being very strategic in protecting MBS by also protecting Saudi Arabia because it's so key to our relationship. Here is Sean Hannity doing the B team version of the same argument. They're doing both the fake intellectual and just the blowhard version of this exact same talking point. Here's how Sean Hannity delivers that talking point.
That said, I believe MBS did know and probably ordered the killing of this Jamal Khashoggi. Here's the problem we have. Yeah. World War II, we had to align with a mass murderer by the name of Joseph Stalin to defeat Hitler. Right. We didn't like that alliance either. Right now, we have a historic moment where U.S., Israel, Egypt, Jordan, the Emirates, the Saudis are now perfectly aligned against Iranian hegemony and the threats of them getting a nuclear weapon with their radical ideology of wanting to destroy the world and America and Israel. Right. I think there should be, I agree with you about sanctions. I agree there needs to be a punishment. But I also agree with the president. Yeah. We should not end this relationship.
So apparently alienating Saudi Arabia is the functional equivalent of allowing the Nazis to continue to create a huge empire that threatens all of Europe and, frankly, the entire world. The other thing, I mean, what's fascinating about this is if this was the reverse, the Republicans were talking about how weak the U.S. government is now, that we cannot, at the very least, just force MBS out. That we are so weak that the Saudis are now pulling us around by our tail. This frame, I think, is silly, but it's certainly the one that the Republicans would use. And I mean, I think the problem with this is self-evident. I mean, if you basically say this coalition to fight the Iranian threat is too big to fail, then what can you prevent them from doing? Where does this end? It's just absurd, and it will have no implications on anything. No Republican voter cares about this. They don't care.
They don't all think that Iran equals Nazi Germany?
Oh, no, they all do. That's why they won't care about the killing of this
I see what you're
the Washington Post columnist.
But I feel like even they don't really care. The actual voters don't care that much about Iran.
No, I don't think they do. Not as much as this is not. This is like the flip side, right? This is the Iran demonization helps Trump's position in this, not vice versa. Usually they're doing stuff to demonize Iran. This, they have to expend some of the demonization cachet to protect whatever it is Donald Trump is so hell-bent on protecting. I
look forward to Hugh Hewitt dedicating the rest of his career to CIA watching.
Yeah, exactly. He's super skeptical of them. All right, let's move to the other story about the leadership of the Democrats in the House. The coalition of 16 letter signers has already fallen apart. God bless you. Has already fallen apart. Apparently, at least one guy, Higgins from New York, has decided that he is going to rescind his signature on that letter. That is important because the magic number was 15. 15 votes against Pelosi could be afforded as of now. It may be. The Democrats picked up a House seat in Utah and in, I think it was California was the second one. There was two of them. The Mia Love seat, and then there was a second seat that the AP had called, or maybe the AP had called that one. Nevertheless, there's at least about 15 votes that Nancy Pelosi can afford to let people take based upon their promise to their voters. And all of this is blown up in Seth Moulton's face, showing at the very least that Nancy Pelosi is pretty good at what she does when it comes to, at the very least, twisting arms and getting votes for what she wants and knowing where and when she can get them. Seth Moulton now has a Seth Moulton problem. He was holding a town hall in Amesbury on the North Shore up near the New Hampshire line, more or less where you would go if it was a Sunday and you needed to do a packy run because of the blue laws in Massachusetts. And you would shoot across the border, pick up some booze, come back, party for a football game, let's say. Seth Moulton announcing his opposition to Nancy Pelosi. Apparently, he didn't check this out with his constituents.
The majority of Americans want this change. The majority of Democrats want this change. We want this.
And we just don't like Washington, get rid of everybody, put this guy in, and it feels like you don't think there's a skill set necessary.
And apparently that constituent was onto something because he certainly didn't have the skill set. He was backing off the letter very quickly, saying how he didn't write it. There were other members in the dark hiding out who were afraid.
A letter was written.
And then he goes on to compare Nancy Pelosi to Margaret Thatcher, which I think from an ideological standpoint is wrong, and also from a historical standpoint, what he discussed was also wrong. And it didn't seem to do very well politically with his own constituents. Here he is.
Someone told me the story recently of Margaret Thatcher. Sort of the same, similar, it's a, you know, a different system of government, but same sort of thing where you, you know, go to the floor of Parliament to get the votes to be elected Prime Minister. And she had served several terms, and then a lot of people said, you know, Prime Minister, it's time for a change. And she said, no, I'm going to stick with it. And then they said, well, Prime Minister, you don't have the votes. And she said, no, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to the floor. I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to twist arms, and I'm going to get the vote anyway. And so she did that. So she went to the floor and she twisted arms, and she didn't have the votes. And then they elected a new Prime Minister, and everything went on, and people were excited about the new Prime Minister, and that's okay. Like, that's how.
That is the strangest. First off, what happened with Margaret Thatcher is her own party. She didn't have the votes amongst her own party. Nancy Pelosi clearly has the majority of Democrats in favor of her, even, you know, prior to the opposition falling apart.
To the point where she's like almost orchestrating the opposition.
Well, you need 218 votes. She had the vast majority of Democratic votes, even if she didn't get to 218, right? Thatcher lost confidence. Her own party lost confidence in her. In this instance, you're talking about maybe 10% of the Democrats wanting to vote against her. So that analogy was wrong. And just the analogy of like, and they got a new prime minister and everything was fine. Well, but it was a pretty dramatic change. Margaret Thatcher was horrible.
It's like a fifth grade civics lesson.
It really is. I'm going to do something that hopefully you won't pick up on how condescending it is as I tell you this story.
My understanding is Thatcher was booted because she wasn't pro-Europe enough.
Is that right?
By like the John Major types.
That's very possible. She wasn't moving into the 21st century. All right, let's play this, and then we'll start taking some phone calls. Here, let's take this. Let's take a phone call right now. Oh. You're calling from a...
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, yeah, I'd like to order 12 pairs of the Quaker Factory drawstring pants in the pullover top with the Jesus Christ applique in all the colors. I'd like them in teal, bone, midnight blue, ochre, all of them. I'm treating myself. I'm treating myself for doing so well in the debate last night. Listen, do you need my loyalty card number?
I think you might have
QVC.
Who is this?
This is QVC. This is Cindy Hyde-Smith. My number is 2249. My code word is white makes right. This is QVC.
Wait a second. Cindy Hyde-Smith, this is
Cindy Hyde-Smith from Mississippi. MISSISSIPPI. Listen, so I'm treating myself. I'd like to order the Quaker Factory drawstring pants with the over top with the applique.
Well, no, wait a second.
Hello,
this
is QVC?
No, this is not QVC, but I'm glad you called in.
Who is this? Who am I talking to?
My name is Sam Seder.
Who am I talking to? Is this a joke? Is this some kind of a joke? QVC.
No, this is not QVC.
Who's this?
I keep telling you, my name is Sam Seder, and we actually, I mean, coincidentally, we're talking about politics, and so I'm glad to have you on the.
Well, you listen to me, Liev, or whatever your name is. I don't know what's going on here.
Liev.
I'm trying to order. Do you know who this is? This is. Listen to me.
I'm listening.
I am trying to order 12 pairs of the drawstring pants and overtop from Quaker Factory.
I don't have any Quaker Factory pants, but
you sound like what are you on the East Coast? You a liberal? What's going on here?
Well, I am on the East Coast, yes, and yes, I'm of the left, as it were. But it's interesting. We were just talking about your debate, or just about to talk about your debate.
Oh my God, the debate! Yeah, I'll tell you what. I even put a Ziploc bag over my own head so I could neither see nor hear myself in the silent debate. But I'm pretty sure I won. That's why I'm ordering all the drawstring pants as an early to treat myself for the holidays. Mike Espy didn't know whether he was coming or going after that one.
Well, it turns out we actually have some clips from last night from the debate. Now, my understanding
I don't
is...
want to hear it. That's why I put the bag over my head. Nobody's supposed to hear it.
Well, we have a couple of clips here. Let's. Do you mind if we play them and ask you about them?
Okay, but I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to listen. I also wanted to order the luxury rope because we're going to have some Christmas hangings.
With the luxury rope? I don't even know what that product
at
is.
our house. My husband, Cattleman Mike, and I like to have some hangings. We're having Thanksgiving with our Pio is coming, and Ray Moore's coming. He loves to carve the turkey, and we're also going to slaughter some cattle, but we're not going to eat them.
Okay. Why aren't you going to eat them?
I'm just going to make a list. If you play your clips or whatever, listen to me, Judah. I don't know what y'all are doing over there, but I'm going to keep making a list of some things I need from the QVC, so you play whatever you need to play.
Okay, well, let's play this first clip. Which one should we play first, Matt? The debate, maybe? Yeah, this is from the debate. Here is a clip now.
Of myself and Mr. Espy.
Yes, exactly. And this is... This is...
How did you get clips? How did you get anything from that debate? That was a silent auction.
Well, I understand. I'm not even sure how did we get clips of this debate, Matt?
C-SPAN.
Oh, C-SPAN. Yeah. And
what now?
Here is and this is where she looks down at her. No, which one is this one?
Who's
okay,
she? Who's she?
I'm talking to Matt. I'm sorry. Okay, well let's hear.
This is where she addresses the public.
Yeah, this is where you address the comment that you made about the public hanging. Here it is.
Listen, that was a very dear friend of mine.
Oh, pause it. I'm sorry.
Who had lost their parents tragically at the hands of black people.
Wait. Excuse me.
What?
No, let's just play your apology, and then you can respond to it. How's that?
Explain and or apologize tonight.
You know, at a campaign event, I had the opportunity to visit with a supporter who has a big piece of my heart. See, his mother and dad both died of cancer when he was in high school. So to express my deep regard and my sincere commitment to this young man, I used a phrase. I told him that I would fight a circle saw for him. Well, obviously, I would not stick my arm in a circle saw, nor did any of my comments ever mean that I would enjoy any type of capital punishment sitting there witnessing this. You know, for anyone that was offended by my comments, I certainly apologize. There was no ill will, no intent whatsoever in my statements. In nearly 20 years of service, of being your state senator, your commissioner of agriculture, and your U.S. senator, I have worked with all Mississippians. It didn't matter their skin color type, their age, or their income. That's my record. There has never been anything, not one thing in my background to ever indicate I had ill will toward anyone. I've never been hurtful to anyone. I've always tried to help everyone. I also recognize that this comment was twisted and it was turned into a weapon to be used against me.
When I ordered the Quacker Factory Confederate flag loungewear, everybody was all upset. Confederate flag. Listen, I'll tell you what, though, Sam, the South's going to do it again. But my dear friend, he's got a big piece of my heart, and I was just so tickled when we got the chance to talk. You've heard phrases, Sam. Phrases, that's one spicy meatball. I can't believe I ate the whole thing. Where's the beef? It's all in the same. It's in the same Western canon of popular phrases and things that Guy Fieri has said.
Guy Fieri. Well, now wait a second. You didn't refer to capital punishment. You referred to a public hanging, and
hence the luxury. Yeah, public. It's a phrase, Sam, like hashtag worth it. You know, whatever people say. Listen, there's no ill will. That is so. You know, when I wear my Confederate clothes and when I do the reenactments, it's all in good fun. My record shows that. Listen, Sam, we got enough problems down here in Mississippi. Everybody's talking about the wildfires in California, in crazy California, in La La Land. But you know what we have here in Mississippi? No. We got droughts. We got storms. We have black people. We have potholes in the roads. We have all kinds of problems here. And listen, the last time the storms blew through here, the 99-cent store. We have a lot of 99-cent stores. And the one near my house, the 99-cent store got, listen to me, the 99-cent store got hit so hard, there was literally $22 worth of damage. That's how much damage was done at the 99-cent store.
Yeah, so
about $22.
That would be
so
about
we have
23 things, I think, would...
Yeah, that's about $22 worth of damage. That's how hard that was hit, the one near my house.
Right.
The 99 cents. Don't even get me started on the Family Dollar store by the Piggly Wiggly, because I'll tell you how hard that was hit, but I'm not going to do that right now. Listen, I'm tired of being accused of things. Excuse me, I'm getting so upset. I got a frog in my throat. Oh, now everybody's going to go crazy because I said I got a frog in my throat. I don't really have a frog in my throat. It's just an expression.
All right. Well, okay. All right. So
All right. Esau. What is your name again? Esau?
Sam.
Enoch.
Sam.
Rachel.
Not Rachel. Sam.
Bathsheba.
No, not Bathsheba. Nothing from the. Well, I guess Sam is biblical.
I hear there's other people in there in that room with
yes,
you.
there
People
is.
are laughing at me.
Matt and Brendan. No one's laughing at you. Matt and Brendan are here.
What, you think voter suppression is not a good idea? I'm full of good ideas. Voter suppression is a fantastic idea.
Now wait a second. Now
I came up with that, or was that Guy Fieri? I don't know. Guy Fieri. I don't know. I don't know who said it, but it's a fantastic idea. I'm having bumper stickers. Suppress it. #suppress.
All right. Well, now Cindy Hyde-Smith, hold on for 1 second. I want to play this clip of from the Jackson Free Press. It is a tweet. They say, "Watch. I counted 20 times. Cindy Hyde-Smith looked down at 2 large stacks of notes in front of her in just the first 2 questions. Candidates weren't supposed to bring notes with them, but her campaign demanded." And
I didn't
was
have
given.
notes. I had my order sheets for the QVC. I was getting ready for my order after I won. I had lists and lists. I'm giving out gifts and things like that. That's what I had. I had in front of me.
All right. Well, let us watch the video, and people can decide for themselves. How's that?
I ain't watching no. How am I gonna watch a video? I'm on the phone trying to talk to people.
Okay, hold on for 1 second. We'll pause it, and we're just going to play it, and we'll expand it.
Get down, children.
Okay.
Yes, this is a wrong-headed policy. People storming our borders. I want to repeal Obamacare. Everything that we will support, I assure you, will include pre-existence conditions.
Pre-existence conditions?
Obamacare, which has been a disaster for health care, ruined rural America. My opponent supports that. You know, at a campaign event, sitting there witnessing this, you know, for anyone that was offended by my comments, I certainly apologize. There was no ill will, no intent whatsoever in my statement. You U.S. Senator,
I mean, I have to say,
Yeah.
Cindy Hyde-Smith,
How
I'm looking
do
at
you
that
get
video. Now, hold on.
ill
Now, hold
will
on for
and
1
malicious
second.
intent
Now,
out of
excuse
anything
me.
I've said?
Excuse me.
Do you know that
Excuse
I work
me.
on Meals on Wheels, Sam? I started a program, Meals on Wheels, with my parish in Mississippi. And what we do is we bring food to the homeless and we ask them to pay for it. It teaches them to support themselves.
Now, wait a second. All right, that seems to me to be ridiculous. But I want to get back to that video. You were clearly looking down at your notes. And my name is not
I'm not
Ezra.
looking down at my notes.
You were
I was
looking down at your
making
notes,
lists
and
for
you
the
were
upcoming
reading
holidays.
them. You were reading them. It's clear.
Yeah, I'm going over what. You know what, Samuel? Do you ever write down lists of things to do today, things I got to do tomorrow? Remind myself. I would have had Post-its, but I didn't get a chance to go to the office supply store.
But why would you be reading those
Golly.
in the middle of answering your question in a debate if they weren't notes?
The holidays are coming up. I'm spinning a lot of plates in the air. I'm spinning plates, Sam. I got lots to do. It's called multitasking. Multitasking.
So you were reading your list.
Multiple tasks.
I understand what multiple tasking is, but I just want to be clear on this. You were reading notes about what you needed to do to prepare for the holidays, and simultaneously, excuse me?
Nothing.
And answering the question in this debate. That's what you were doing. That's your story.
Yeah, it's called multitasking.
Okay.
I can do more than one thing.
Why would...
Listen, you're making me... I'm getting so angry. This is such classic liberal nonsense. I don't even know how you got the same number as QVC. I don't even know what's happening.
I think you...
You do not have a big piece of my heart. I'll tell you what. You know what? I'll give you a piece of my colon. If that. If that. In fact, I wouldn't even give you a piece of my colon. And how you can get any malicious intent out of what I'm saying. How you can misinterpret anything about what I'm saying. and give it is just talk about ridiculous.
Why did it
My
take
God.
you so long to apologize?
Because really, I have nothing to apologize for. Listen, my dear friend's parents died when he was in high school from black people giving him cancer.
Wait a
And
second.
so that is what.
Black people giving him cancer? How did black people give his parents cancer?
Do your homework. You'll figure it out. South's going to do it again. Get down, children. Gather round, children. Get loud. South's going to do it again. So, can I make my order now?
All right. Yes, sure.
Okay. So you got the order for the 12 Quacker Factory
12
lounge pants?
Quacker Factory
And overtime.
lounge pants. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Quacker Factory. They make the best stuff. Have you seen Quacker Factory?
I have not.
Oh, they have and they have wonderful, wonderful things. But anyway, so what is this thing you're doing over? Where are you?
All right. We're in Brooklyn. This is not QVC. We're doing.
Brooklyn. Oh boy, it's all happening in Brooklyn. Woo! The Urban Outfitters in Williamsburg. It's the best. Woo!
Well, we're not near Williamsburg, and I have not been to an Urban Outfitters in probably 20 years. But we are in. We're closer to Gowanus, and we're doing a political talk show from the left. Yes.
Gowanus. Oh, right. We have to use the indigenous First Nation tribe name. We have to call it Gowanus after the Indians, who so cruelly tried to massacre the white people as they tried to build their homes and bring Jesus to the land. The Indians, the Red Indians. Now, how you're going to misinterpret that? Oh, what did she say now?
Well,
She said Red Indians.
What you said was
massacring white folks.
Right.
They were trying to bring Jesus to the land.
Right. All those things you said
Next.
were as offensive.
Do you know how big a piece of my heart the Red Indian has?
No, I don't.
Big piece of my heart.
They have a big piece of your heart, but why would you
They have
then?
a big piece of my heart. No ill will. How you could misinterpret and imply any negative intent to what I just said about the Red Indians massacring the white people who were just trying to build a home and bring Jesus to the land. Next, you're going to say it was wrong to give him smallpox-infested blankets.
Well,
right?
I mean, I think that was wrong.
So bad. That was a bad thing.
Yeah, it was a
They
bad.
had never had smallpox before, Sam. They had never had it before, nor blankets. So you're welcome.
Well, I don't think people want smallpox, even for the first time.
Well, they've never had it before, have they? Now they know. You give them a chance to know. No, thank you. I did not want smallpox. Now I know. Thank you. Thank you, white people, and thank you for the blanket.
I think that's a problem, right? I mean, it was deadly.
I'll tell you what's a problem is that I cannot sell my artisanal moonshine. I'm trying to sell my artisanal moonshine. You know what sounds like Brooklyn might be a place I can get my artisanal moonshine. Actually, I want to talk to you.
No.
Esau, is that your name, Esau?
No, my name is Sam. What?
Sam.
So, Cindy Hyde-Smith, now you.
Shoshana?
Excuse me?
Shoshana.
No, Sam. My name is Sam.
Sam. Got it. Sam. I want to talk to you a little bit later on about distribution of my artisanal, small batch, farm-to-table, ethically butchered, bespoke moonshine. I think Brooklyn.
I don't understand any of those things.
And all the proceeds go to the Confederacy.
Now, Cindy Hyde's.
Cindy Hyde, Hyde-Smith.
Listen, Cindy Hyde-Smith.
You should look me up on Wikipedia. You'll learn everything you need to know about me. Just look me up on Wikipedia.
I will do that. What do you think your chances are? Your election, I believe, is in about
on the
2 weeks.
27th. My chances are better than good. My chances are better than good. I'm gonna win. You know what I say? I say gerrymander. Jerry, have you met Jerry Mander?
No.
Well, never mind.
Jerry
Governor
Mander
Phil
was
Bryant.
a real person. I mean, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's a helpful man. Listen to me. Governor Phil Bryant knew when he put me in office that I was going to do a good job, and I'm a winner. When I was involved with agriculture and commerce, everybody knew I was a winner. Yes, I have a gap in my bottom teeth, but that is just, I sit my corncob pipe in there. Some people have made fun of that gap in my bottom teeth. Some people have said it looks like I'm on meth. Well, yeah, maybe I have a face like that. Maybe I look like I was born in Butcher's Holler and I was a coal miner's daughter. In fact, I was a coal miner's daughter.
Wait,
My daddy worked
what
in the
do you
mine.
mean? In fact, I mean, were you a coal miner's daughter or no?
Yeah, and I got married when I was 15. Started having babies when I was 15. Then I was a country singer for a while. I was called the First Lady of Country.
Is
that
true?
Then I had a brief sabbatical, and then I got involved in politics. But I was born a coal miner's daughter, and then my first husband's name was Doolittle, and we had lived in Butcher's Holler, and then we moved, and then I had my babies, and then I started singing country. I learned how to play guitar, and I was called the First Lady of Country. And then I stopped, and then I got into politics.
My understanding is that you were back in 2000, you were a member of the Mississippi Senate, and you, in 2010, switched from being a Democrat to a Republican.
I was more of a Dixiecrat, Sam. But yeah, in the 2000s, I was a country singer. I was the First Lady of Country in the 70s and the 80s. I had a great tour bus, and I was known for my wonderful wigs.
I don't see how that's possible. What, in the 70s?
'Cause I was born a coal miner's daughter.
I don't think that's you. I think isn't that Loretta Lynn or Tammy
I don't know who
Wynette?
you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking about. You talking about Sissy Spacek? I don't know who you mean. But anyway, Samuel.
She's an actress.
I don't know what you're talking about. You can look me up on Wikipedia. You want to learn about me?
Okay.
South's going to do it again. South's going to do it again.
How many children did you say you had?
Well, I started having my babies when I was 15. My first baby. And I had 4 babies, one after the other. I had a whole bunch of babies.
My understanding is
And
you
then
have
I was
one
given
daughter.
a guitar. I was given it. Who are you talking about? That's from my second marriage. My daughter, who is my pride and joy. She has a big piece of my heart. All my kids have a big piece of my heart. All of them. They have all my heart. I don't even have a heart, Sam. I don't have a heart. I keep giving pieces of it away. I'm heartless.
I mean, I
That's
think
how much I give.
I mean, I find that hard to refute. Well, listen.
You going home for Thanksgiving? You celebrate Thanksgiving? You celebrate, you heathens? What are you celebrating? What are you doing? You going home for Thanksgiving? Or where are you having it? In Brooklyn?
No, I'm going actually up to Massachusetts.
Going up to Massachusetts? Oh, are you that fella at Worcester? Is that you?
Yeah, yes, that is me.
Oh, I think I have heard it. You've been on the MSNBC.
Yes, that's correct.
Where you wear a suit sometimes.
Well,
Yep.
a sport jacket, yeah.
Sometimes you're thinner than others. Sometimes your face is fuller. Sometimes it's thinner. That kind of thing.
That's true, yeah. Occasionally. I put on a couple of pounds, then sometimes I take it off.
And then sometimes you take it off. You're a yo-yo dieter, so am I. That's why I love you. Got to get clothes from Quaker Factory. They have elastic waistbands, and they go all the way up to size 3XX. Quaker Factory.
I probably do need that.
Oh, they're lounge pants. So much fun. The appliques they put. There's Jesus. There's Santa Claus. There's Sheriff Arpaio. All kinds of things. It's wonderful.
Maybe this would be good for you since you are a politician and you're a sitting senator.
And I used to be a country singer. I used to be the First Lady of Country. Yep.
And you used to be the First Lady of Country. A listener of mine has put together a campaign ad, ostensibly for me to run for the Senate in a primary in New York State. And I thought maybe you could listen to it and give us a sense.
You sound like somebody on Bob's Burgers. My daughter loves Bob's Burgers. Did you ever? There's somebody that sometimes sounds like you on that Bob's Burgers. Is that you?
Not that I'm aware of. No. Yes, I mean it's not important. Here is an ad that was done by Craig Adolphia, the YouTuber.
Craig Adelphia.
Yeah, and
Is he Greek?
I don't
Is that
know.
a Greek fella?
It's possible.
Okay.
I can't read the name, but there it is. I mean, people can see it. And here's an ad they put together that splices together some of the audio from this show with some images, and perhaps maybe you could give me your feedback on this.
Sure.
Democrats have to get with the program and understand the Democrats have to get with the program and understand the way this stuff works is you take the power and you use the power, even if it means you're going to lose the power. Congress, right, will control things like commerce, interstate commerce, and has responsibility for the general welfare You're not going to raise taxes on the bottom 20%. And it's absurd. It's silly. It's dumb. You know, Medicare for all would go a long way to make people's lives that much better. I went out actually with those two guys for a drink the other night. I didn't pay. So that's the only thing I care about. I mean, frankly, I didn't have to pay. So how's that? People are ready for me, and I'm ready for them. You know, this is the problem with politics. That it's all focus group driven. It's like what happened in the candidate. The campaign manager comes in and starts to corrupt the guy. Now, here's the thing, and I've been saying this for 2 years. Once you get in, the left is going to start a civil war in this country. The majority will impose its will on the rest of the country. This is a threat. This is a threat.
Like a secession threat.
No, it is a civil war threat. Right? We have two choices. One is to embrace government, or there's going to be violence. That's the choices that we have, America. That's it. There's my viewpoint. Either you start letting states discriminate and create a race to the bottom, or there's going to be violence. The only thing that should give you any type of hope, although it's still incredibly disturbing, we're going to reduce, or we're going to land on an idea of government and the most appropriate size of government that maintains the order of power that I benefit from. The Chuck stops here. I'm Sam Seder, and I approve of this message. Now, I have to say, Cindy Hyde-Smith, that those some of my words were edited out of context.
Can I say, listen to me, I fell asleep mostly, but I did perk up a bit when I heard civil war and violence. I heard those words. Now, here's the problem with that ad, the music. Oh, my God. You need to get, like, maybe the Atlanta Rhythm section, or maybe the Charlie Daniels Band, or maybe even Bocephus, Hank Williams Jr., Bocephus. Get that music, or Ted Nugent, something. My goodness, it was, other than that, I sort of liked some of the words I was hearing, but I mostly fell asleep. I'm sorry.
I
guess that's what I would have to say.
So you would say, okay, because an audience member made the video, and I just wanted to get you as a sitting U.S. senator and obviously a candidate for re-election.
Like I said, some of the words I perked up, but I mostly was asleep. But I perked up when I heard civil war and violence and threat. I like the sound of that. And now don't everybody's got to apologize. She likes those 3 words. Yeah, I like those 3 words. Everybody likes those 3 words. That's why they're in the dictionary. If people didn't like those words, they wouldn't be in the dictionary, would they?
That's not actually how the dictionary.
They go out of fashion like a hoop skirt.
Yeah, that's not how the dictionary works.
What?
That's not how the dictionary works.
Well, yeah. Why don't you tell me how the dictionary works then?
Well,
how does it work?
Well, there's a committee that assesses whether a word is entered the lexicon enough to warrant it being included in a dictionary.
Yeah, what did I just say? I said people love the words. They're very popular. That's why they exist in a bound volume. If people didn't like the words, threat, violence, civil war, they'd go away. Yeah, they wouldn't be in a book. They'd be in maybe on a wax cylinder somewhere at the Smithsonian between Archie Bunker's chair and Fozzie's jacket, something like that.
No, that's not how it works.
I don't.
People
you know
don't like
this is
plagues.
already. I'm so mad. I don't have my Quaker Factory clothes coming to me. This has been such a disappointing phone call. I don't even know how this happened. How in the world your number and QVC are the same number? I don't even know how. I'm sitting here talking to some fella named Liev or whatever the hell your name is. I don't even understand what's happening. You're in Brooklyn.
Well,
my phone almost dropped on the floor now.
All right. Well, listen, Cindy Hyde-Smith, we've got to move into the fun half of the program. And
I bet it's a real thrill, the fun half. Lucky listeners. So fun. So much fun.
Well, we think it is.
Well, thank you for having me on the doll half then.
What? Well, what are you going to do? I mean,
I guess nothing. I guess nothing.
all right. Well,
you know, I guess thanks for nothing. I think you should apologize to me. At this point, I'm waiting.
I want to wish you.
I'll sit here all day. All
right. Well, listen. I would like to wish you good luck, but I can't do that. I don't want you to win.
Why?
Well, I frankly, I've
sexist. You're sexist, like those sexist ageist people against Nancy Pelosi. Sexist ageist.
Well,
you're sexist ageist. That's your problem with me, is that I'm a woman who's 59 years young. That's how I call it. That's a new 58, by the way, P.S.
I got news for you. It's you. Yeah, okay.
What?
Nothing.
Why don't you just continue yo-yo dieting and getting on the TV? You do that, why don't you?
I will. Cindy Hyde-Smith, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Okay, well, you got a piece of my colon, I guess. I'll leave you with that. I guess that's all I can say.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in the fun.
Then good luck with the fun half. Have fun. Have fun on the fun half.
We will. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, I'm going.
Folks, just a reminder, you can support this program. We will take your calls and more in the fun. I have to take a break. I've been drinking a lot of fluids. We're going to take a quick break, head into the fun half, wherein we will take your calls. Maybe we'll hear from another special guest. You can support this program by becoming a member at jointhemajority.report.com. Join the Majority Report, just a couple of bucks a week. Keeps the free show trucking along, and as a way of saying thank you, we give you extra content every day. JoinTheMajorityReport.com. Don't forget, check out TMBS. You can do so on iTunes or on our YouTube channel. Also, or Patreon. Same with the Antifada. Check it out. Patreon.com/theantifada. Don't forget, folks, we are doing, Michael's doing his live show in February. We are doing the Majority Report live January 13th. It's a Sunday, 2:30 p.m. You can find a link to the tickets on our website at majority.fm or just Google Brooklyn PodFest, Majority Report. Where are we doing it again? At the Bell House.
Bell House.
So check that out. Also, Matt, what's happening with...
Yeah, so you could say more and more people are talking about Catherine Maria Sedgwick because about over 1,000 people have downloaded my narrations for that, which is probably more people than have read that book in a long, long time, just that in of itself. So check that out, Catherine Maria Sedgwick, and then we're going to move on to some more interesting things, or some different interesting things in the next couple weeks.
Okay, folks, quick break. Fun half. Be right back.
You are in for it.
All right, folks, 646-257-3920. See you in the fun half.
Are you ready?
Who sent us this?
Alpha males are back. Boy, back. And the alpha males are back.
Just as delicious as you could imagine.
The alpha males are back. Boy, back. And the alpha males are back.
Just want to degrade the white man.
Alpha males are back.
I take all of it in my throat.
Alpha males are back.
Almost says what?
The alpha males are back.
You are a madman.
And the alpha males are back.
I am a total cunt.
Can we bring back DJ Dannerky's song, please?
Yeah, or a couple of them. Just put them in rotation.
DJ Dannerky.
Well, the problem with those is they're like 45 seconds long, so I don't know if they're enough of a break.
That's fucking nonsense.
Hey, folks, reminder.
I do not have Parkinson's.
And the alpha males are...
Psych. Fuck them.
Almost says what?
Almost says what? Hell of a lot of bank. 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 Hell of a lot of bank.
All lives matter. Have you tried doing an impression on a college campus?
I think that there's no reason why reasonable people across the divide can't all agree with this. Psych.
The alpha males are back. And the Africans are black African. And the alpha males are back. And the Africans are black.
See Donald Trump out there, doesn't a little part of you think that America deserves to be taken over by jihadists? Keeping it 100. Can't knock the hustle. Come on! Fuck them. Things I do for the bigger game plan. By the way, it's my birthday! Happy birthday to me, Jew boy! I have a thought experiment for you.
And the alpha males are back. Africans are black. Alpha males are back. Africans are black.
Come on! Come on! Someone needs to pay the price for blasphemy around here.
I am a total pussy.
We are back. It's the fun half, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go right to the phones. Calling from a 509 area code. Who's this?
Hey, Sam. It's Ronald Reagan.
Oh, Ronald Reagan. All right. I'm a little gun shy, obviously, answering the phone, as you can understand, after that last call we had.
Yeah, but you were committed to it. I mean, I give you credit for that. You know, you hung up on me on Monday. It was weird because I just feel like I was about to hit the...
I honestly don't remember the call.
Pinnacle.
I can't even tell you.
Okay, well, I was...
It feels like a million years ago.
I just think that... can you let me finish my point? I just feel like after 7 years, you would understand. I know when to end a call. I need you to trust me here. Okay? I was about to hit it. I was right in that sweet spot, but you hung up on me. Anyways.
I don't remember. I have no recollection of it whatsoever. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you know, we had our focus group on Monday night, played a few clips to the group. I've got kind of good news, bad news.
Did you see the ad that we just played?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty
amazing. Good. I cried. I've actually cried every time I've watched it, and I've watched it at least a dozen times.
Actually believe that, but okay, go ahead.
So, okay, focus group. Overall, great. You know, people really liked you. They liked what we showed them, but you do have a little bit of a Puerto Rico problem.
I have a Puerto Rico problem?
Not playing well with the Puerto Ricans in the group. And so just going to throw a couple things out there. I'm just spitballing here. I want you to keep an open mind, though. But have you heard of Tapatio? You know Tapatio? Hot sauce?
Yeah. That's
okay,
Mexican.
so you just put a little bottle down. I'm looking at the screen right now. I'm watching you on YouTube. You just down in the corner, or off to your left. Just set it right there so people can see it. And then occasionally during the show, you just sprinkle some on your tongue. And this is just, you know, I don't know if you remember the Hillary Clinton hot sauce thing, but that was me. I knew she needed to.
I don't
make some inroads. Okay. Well, so during the campaign, she went on an African-American radio show, and they asked her, what's something about you that people don't know? And she said, I love hot sauce. I carry it around in my purse everywhere. That was me, because I knew the way that you garner support from minority groups is, you know, publicly eating their foods. So,
were you also behind Hillary calling herself Mi abuela?
Yeah.
Abuelita.
Abuelita. Yes.
Good job.
And speaking of...
Is Tapatia even
Speaking of names or nicknames...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, is that...
What?
Okay. If you think that would work?
There's Hillary. There's Hillary right there. Yeah, Tapatio. But we need to, I need you to think about going more aggressive. And so we got to look at your name. Okay, so I think maybe we go with the Spanish pronunciation of Samuel.
Samuel, okay.
Okay, or...
I gotta say,
which is
I gotta
diminutive.
say, you'll be happy about this, but I do call my son occasionally Saul.
So perfect. Yes, use
All
that. Or we go with the diminutive of Sam, which would be Samito, Little Sam.
Little Sam. I get called that actually in English quite a bit.
Right. Okay. We look at your last name. Look, it's perfect. Cedar. We tack an O on the end. It becomes Sedero.
Sedero.
Perfect. Now, if you want to get real aggressive, we change it to Sendero with an N, which means path or the way. So you are the way, right? The path. Sam.
Now,
Sendero.
Right. Okay.
So I want you to think these things over, but I mean, we don't have a lot of time.
Right. No,
we got 4 years out, and so I'll call back next week and we'll go over which of these things. I say go all in, but that's
Well, Ronald Reagan,
that's how I roll.
Let me be, hopefully not the first nor the last, to wish you a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and your growing family, as it were. And on behalf of everyone here at the Majority Report, you are one of those callers we are very thankful for. Personally, I am as well. This is, and so we just want you to know that we appreciate you, and I almost appreciate all the work you're doing in terms of my would-be Senate bid. So thank you.
Right. Well, let me say two serious things. One, thank you, and I'm grateful for this show and the community. And I said this before, but the people in your community are some of the best people I've met, IRL, as they say, in real life. And one last thing on the sorry, random thought, but the Saudi Arabia thing. What makes it really weird is one of the things that made Trump a real candidate during the campaign is he was going out saying, hey, by the way, Saudi Arabia did 9/11 and nobody's talking about it. Yeah. I'm the only one willing to talk, which is, kind of true. And now, it is what it is. So anyways, thanks for the show, and I love you guys, and I'll talk to you later.
Ronald Reagan, ladies and gentlemen, arguably my campaign manager for but I mean, arguably, I'm not sure for sure. Reagan. Call him from a 508 area code 508. Who's this?
Hey Sam, this is Worcester Mike.
Worcester Mike,
Omaha, Nebraska.
Well,
by way of Worcester, Massachusetts.
I will be visiting Wormtown within the next 24 hours. So.
Very good. Well, say hello. You're on the west side, is that correct? You're a Doherty boy, right?
That's right. I went to Doherty.
All right.
Where were you?
Going next week. I'm actually going next week. I'm a Greendale boy.
Greendale?
So Burncoat.
Burncoat. Yeah. That's out Dennis Leary territory, if I'm not mistaken.
That is actually, yes. I just saw that he wrote a new book about how we all need to stop being so partisan, and I decided I was not going to buy it because why would I buy a Dennis Leary book?
Exactly. Well, we can't all be gems from Worcester.
That's true. But happy Thanksgiving and enjoy Wormtown. I know that you don't get back there as much as you'd like to. So
no one does. No one does.
No, this is true. I did have a quick question, and I'll take the answer offline. But I was just wondering. So today, the oil prices supposedly dropped as Trump was vociferously thanking the Saudis for dropping oil prices from, I think it was he said 82 to 52. It's probably from 70 to 68. But bucks a barrel. But I was just wondering if there's a connection, if you think there's a connection there to all the obvious news surrounding Khashoggi.
It's conceivable. I do know this. The Saudis, I think, announced today or yesterday that they would not curtail their production, and they are overproducing. Part of it could be that they think it's going to diminish some pressure on Trump. Like, look, they made a big miscalculation in terms of the Khashoggi killing. They thought they could get away with that. It would be no problem. They were wrong. They could be, it's not inconceivable to me that they would up their production for the sake of providing a win for Trump. The other story is that there is this huge amount of shale that is going to come online. Apparently what happened, and I haven't read too much into this, but there's been a development of a new chemical that is allowing sort of like more viscous oil essentially to go through pipelines easier. And so there is a glut of means in which to transport that oil. The Saudis, it's in their interest to lower the price of oil. It's sort of like what, like what Walmart does, or really what Amazon does, right? Go in, underprice other providers so that they can't make any money on their goods, put them out of business, and then you raise the prices. That's what the Saudis, are attempting to do, I think. Maybe we'll have Dan Dicker on, to explain this. But that to me seems to be like what the situation is. So it's conceivable they did that in part to help Trump. I think also in part what they're doing is trying to get some of the smaller players out of the market in their mind. But I don't know. I really don't know. But those are the two possible answers.
Yeah, I did actually read a little about the shale, and just recently there was a couple articles. But the other reason it comes up is it was something that recently someone argued with me about how the oil prices being low is really good for the economy, and I was pointing out that they had almost doubled since 2016 when Trump took over, and they were not buying that essentially. And so when I saw the thing go, when I saw Trump's tweet this morning, I thought, well, now they're actually back in line to where they were in 2016 as far as price per barrel. But on top of that, the price doesn't seem to be rising as much at the pump yet. So I know there's always like this trend where it rises at the barrel, but not necessarily at the pump for a couple more, like usually a year or so, depending on how much they're putting through the distributing through the economy. So the other question I had was, is this going to be a benefit for us at the consumer level? I mean, prices come down on oil, that usually runs the economy, but there's been some recent talk, I think it's similar to that article you were talking about with the shale, that this is actually going to be bad for the U.S. economy now because the U.S. is such a big producer. But anyway, I'm going to take, if you want to talk about that, you can.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I appreciate the call and happy Thanksgiving, Mike. To be honest with you, I don't know. I think there are other. I don't know how much, in what parts of the country, are that reliant on the production of oil that it would have the ability to impact the entire country's economy. I think there are other problems apparently that are on the horizon. Consumer confidence is lower in part because Matt spent all his money on a new video game, is my understanding. But apparently the consumer confidence came in lower than people anticipated. The number of people seeking employment went up. So unemployed claims went up. There are, I don't know. I mean, I've seen both things. I've seen some South Korean factory production is down, and people think that's usually a leading indicator of problems. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we will get Dan Dicker on. Calling from an 847 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Sam. My name is Josh, and I'm calling from Chicago.
Well, hello, Josh from Chicago. Happy soon-to-be Thanksgiving.
Happy soon-to-be Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
Thank
and
you.
yes, I'm calling from Chicago.
Wow. All right. Exciting. Finally.
Historical.
Truth in advertising.
Finally. I know, Sam. First of all, that Cindy Hyde-Smith call was like the best acid trip I'd never taken. It was wacky and insane.
I don't know why we would get calls for as if we were QVC, but that one worked out pretty well.
Yeah, you're high profile, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, and I sent an IM yesterday. I don't know if this was covered or not because I actually didn't listen to yesterday's show. Sorry about that, Tim. But for me, I sent an IM about Steny Hoyer, and basically the fact that there are 150-something Democrats have signed on to him being House Majority Leader.
Right.
And there doesn't seem to be any challenge to him or anything.
Right.
And I guess for me, people with Pelosi, in regards to Pelosi, they seem to be missing the big picture here. I'd rather have a House Speaker Pelosi and Majority Leader Barbara Lee than someone like Steny Hoyer, who's basically just kind of a hack.
He's a corporatist. He's a corporatist hack. I mean, and part of the reason why somebody signed that signature is because because of the money he's delivered to people. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just think for me, I actually don't. You're right about. I would love someone from the left to challenge Pelosi, but no one from the left really has. But for me, especially, it doesn't even have to be Barbara Lee. Many people are to the left of Hoyer, and I think the problem that we'd have with someone like Hoyer and Pelosi is that Pelosi would basically just play to some of Hoyer's worst instincts and would sort of, go through, try to push through something like a PAYGO, for example, or some other horrible stuff. And I think when Pelosi talks about bipartisanship, there is a little bit of an irony there just because I think she is trying to genuinely impeach Trump. But I think Hoyer really thinks this stuff actually works. And there was an interesting article I read about Barbara Lee where she basically said that she didn't endorse in 2016 because she wanted to be on the drafting committee for the platform. And essentially, when she got there, the Clinton people, because she had appeared to be neutral, she sided with Bernie and voted for Bernie's stuff, and the Clinton people didn't challenge her. And I think the thing about Lee that she understands is actually how to build power and how to sort of, especially someone who's been kind of a progressive icon for the past 20, 25 years. A lot of the people who are coming up, the Ayanna Presleys of the world, the AOCs of the world, the Rashida Tlaibs, they sort of look up to someone like Barbara Lee, and she could mentor those people in a way that Hoyer clearly can't. And so, for me, everyone should be putting their eggs in the Hoyer's basket.
Yeah,
and getting rid of Hoyer.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the hope is that he is going to go with Pelosi after 2 years. But, and I appreciate the call, Josh. And I think, you're right to point out that Steny Hoyer is far more a malignant force than I think Pelosi is. All that said, the best we can hope for, and at this point it is I think it's a fait accompli that Nancy Pelosi is going to win as leader. There's a really interesting piece that David Dayen wrote, and I'm probably going to have him on Monday for this. But the short version is the Congressional Progressive Caucus leveraged their votes for Pelosi's leadership bid to get seats on key committees that are instrumental if you want to get progressive legislation passed, but also instrumental if you want to deny the corporate Democrats the ability to water down other and to influence the outcome of those legislative fights. The tough part is getting people to actually, now that they've got a commitment to get those seats, to actually get people to take those committee slots, because they're atypical committees for progressives. It's a fascinating story. It is such an important thing to understand in the context of getting better legislation and how Washington works. And I was going to go through the piece today, but I think it's better to wait until Monday, and I can get Dayan in here and we can talk about it and go through it. But it's fascinating. And there's also mention of the progressive organizing around the pay-go, which I spoke about the other day, and the limitations on taxation that Pelosi's trying to push through. We'll see. We'll see. Secret identity politics. I can assure anybody dreading a conservative family Thanksgiving that it's a better idea not to go. After hearing from my dad that 31 documented cases of voter fraud over the past 28 elections was evidence that the government doesn't want to catch it, I gave up. Don't waste your energy, comrades. Stay home and bone 2018. A Square, the genius of Janeane Garofalo to bring us this new entry into the hall of Republican crazy racist. Artisanal moonshine. Can't wait to line up at the Bell House to get that. Got my tickets for the January live show. Enjoy the holiday. I hope everybody's got tickets to that show. Do we know how many have sold out at this point? How many have sold? Got to move quick, folks. Got to move quick. Sam, totally random, but you should have dated Samantha on Sex and the City. You're a total hunk. You would have been a reoccurring character instead of a meat-spitting psycho. Yeah, they don't let you choose when you audition for that. Vespa, in your campaign against Chuck Schumer, I am most looking forward to the moment when you energetically say, Pokemon, go to the DSA meeting. Left is best. Cedar 2020. Karen in Sullivan County, babysitting my 5-year-old buddy, listening to MR. He's already saying bag over my head and what a mean lady. He also knows a little Sam. Indoctrinate them young, I say. JJ Cool, I thought some of your libertarian debates couldn't be topped, but Cindy is a contender. Hickopedia, LOL. Have a good Thanksgiving, all. Kankle Phonometris. Someone needs to follow up a message to those who were offended by asking, and what's your message to those who were not offended by your comment? Winnipeg Craig. Cedar for Senate. The Chuck stops here. Matt, what game did you get?
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Majority Report hot. Sam, can I hit on you and your staff if I donate to each of your Patreons? Of course. I don't even think you need to do that. You can hit on us in any... we can't promise anything.
You don't get extra license if you patronize. You get the same license. You can do the same amount of hitting on.
That's right. Calling from a 646 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Who's this?
Yeah, hi. My name's Sigil. I'm from Nigeria.
Sigil from Nigeria. Are you calling from Nigeria?
Yes, I'm in Lagos right now.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. I wanted to kind of just briefly, well, not so briefly maybe, but talk about how Donald Trump's just abysmal behavior is just toxic for the international political landscape, and how it, like, his bad behavior, especially in this case of Saudi Arabia, gives almost everyone a free pass to just behave terribly.
Please do.
Yeah, okay. So in Nigeria, you talked about this, I think, like a week ago or so. In Abuja, they shot some protesters who were, I think, trying to get a fair wage. And might not even have been that. I can't quite remember. But I know there's people trying to get a fair wage now. And not only is Trump's bad behavior in terms of just civil rights encouraging people to behave this badly internationally, it's also his grotesque worship of wealth. So these political men, they roll around in like caravans of 10 Hummers and like 5 police cars escorting them. It's ridiculous. And they have the nerve to not want to increase the minimum wage to 30,000 naira a month, which is below $85 a month. So that's the kind of behavior people can get away with now, I guess.
One of the things that I'm aware of is that when Donald Trump said that the military could shoot people throwing rocks at them, that I think it was the Nigerian military retweeted it and said, see, essentially.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a big problem. It is a big problem that the President of the United States gives license to the worst instincts that we see internationally. I mean, it's bad. It is
exactly.
It is a bad situation.
And when Buhari stood next to him after he had made the comments about how all of our countries are shithole countries, he stood next to him and he laughed. He did nothing. Like, he just sucked up to Donald Trump and made the entire country look foolish, which he has been doing for a while now, considering he spent like a third of his presidency parking like the government jet in Heathrow Airport because he's a medical tourist and that's his main thing. Like how the quote-unquote leader of the free world.
You're breaking up.
See how his bad behavior. Hello?
Hi. Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's just disheartening to see how much further back we're going in terms of progressing as a society.
I know it's disturbing, and I think people are just. It was one of the questions that early on when Trump was elected that I was posing to some of the guests was what are the implications of this, and just I don't know if people anticipated just how far he would take the authoritarianism and the rhetoric that opens the door to the worst impulses around the world, which I think was an underestimated problem, at least in my part. But I appreciate the call, and thanks for that perspective.
Thanks. And our elections are next year, so maybe just keep an eye out for that to see what happens. But
yes.
Thanks for
keep us updated on that.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Calling from a 525 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Is this me?
It is you.
Oh, hey, Sam. This is Fernando from Mexico. And I just wanted to say how I'm very grateful for what all of you guys do.
Thank you.
You guys do great stuff over there. And well, I a year ago I was a libertarian, and you guys helped me get out of that. But actually, something that helped me really leave libertarianism and actually liberalism in general was actually going out and reading Atlas Shrugged and Ayn Rand. So if there's any libertarian hearing, go out and read that book, guys.
Well, Fernando, how old are you? How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think generally I would say that if you're 18, you should probably wait until you're 22, because you need to sort of get out of that age. 18 can be a dangerous age to read it.
A lot of guys get hooked on Ayn Rand at about that age.
Yes. Now you obviously you're maturing at a more rapid rate than most. Perhaps that's because you're not in America, which I think tends to arrest the development of men on some level. But good for you, yeah. And we're gonna in a week or two, we're gonna have another libertarian debate on the program, and it should be interesting.
Yeah. I actually was calling about something else, if that's okay.
Please.
It's more about theory rather than actual policy. But tell me if I stray like off topic or something, but it's about how like conservatives have this narrative about loss of meaning thanks to postmodernism. I haven't heard your thoughts about that.
Tell me more about what the libertarian is it basically a rehash of the moral relativism, or what? I'm not sure what the libertarian argument is.
Yeah, no, it's not libertarian. It's more like conservative in general. But like people like obviously not Donald Trump, but like people like Jordan Peterson, but also now like people like Steve Bannon and stuff are talking about like this, like moral relativism, but more generally how like younger generations have lost meaning, and how we really are like on top of just like moral stuff, we don't have like a way to lead our lives, and I see that's one of like their main points for returning to things such as like Christianity and like conservatism.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, this is a classic reactionary argument, right? That it is hip to return to the order that existed back when coincidentally we were in power, or we had completely unquestioned or unchallenged power. There is no doubt that there is a transition period when large segments of society are emancipated, whether it's women, half the
and like
society,
it's really dangerous, right? Because like it starts with just like, oh, there's a loss of meaning, right? But then like the argument extends itself to in the case of Jordan Peterson, it's basically so your meaning should be your identity. It should be the fact that you are a white man.
Right. Well, but the point is that there's not a loss of meaning. There is a change in meaning, right? And so it is no longer that you are destined as a white male in the society, that it is your responsibility and your destiny to lead, as opposed to any other demographic profile. And you are of, an elite, it's basically like saying to, it used to be like saying to, I don't know, the, some part of the Air Force, like where they go to the Rangers, right? And they say, the Rangers are an elite force within the context of the Army. And but then you can get even more elite from the Rangers. And so white males were like, like the Rangers. And you have the ability to become the real elite. Nobody else does. The average grunt doesn't. The meaning is lost because it's like, you know what? You're no longer the only people who can hold these positions. And you have to, white men have to redefine their role in society and accept it. And there's definitely a transition. I mean, I've talked about this is where this whole zero sum game stuff comes from on some level, which is it's inevitable. It is inevitable that the meaning of being a white male in a society that no longer systemically suppresses women and no longer systemically suppresses people of color. And I'm not saying that we're there yet, but we are moving in that direction, is going to change. And that adjusting to that is, traumatic on some level for society. And maybe the left is not as successful because the left's project is to emancipate. There is not the energy to address, the new role for the white males, but that to me is a secondary project. Sometimes you have to just grow. This is something that parents need to do with their kids and basically tell them, like, look, There's
I agree with that, but like I still think that there is to a different degree and like in a different context, but they are tapping into something that is actually happening, right? Which like there is an actual loss of meaning in like for younger generations, in the sense that the things that gave us meaning previously, like now we acknowledge that no longer work. Things such as religion or such as honestly capitalism in general. Like we are coming to realize that doesn't work, and that leaves a kind of like existential space there. Obviously, the answer is not to return to sort of like the white identity as a result, but I do think that there is a loss of meaning as a result.
I agree.
Don't you think?
I agree, of course.
And they frame it as if this is postmodernism doing this, because if they said their real problem is with like modernism, everyone would look at them as if they're insane.
Well, that's the point. There was a loss of meaning when all of a sudden, like we're no longer an agrarian society.
You go back to like the 1930s, and they're talking about how we're entering the machine age, and it's all going to be this like terrible dystopia.
This happens all the time, and I mean, it is literally almost the definition of time. You know, like when the written word develops, and the storytellers, the oral storyteller is left a little bit like, where's my new meaning here? Like this happens all the time. It's just that, and I would imagine in each of those eras, there are forces that are saying this is unique. We have hit a unique. It's like postmodern. This is such a unique time that this has never happened before, and they jump in to fill the vacuum with basically a return to the status quo, but dress it up as if it is something radical. I mean, that's the definition of reactionary. But I appreciate the call.
And like, so just like lastly, sorry for taking up so much time. So postmodernism then is like more of a symptom rather than a cause of this loss of meaning. Like postmodernism is pointing out that like the previous things that gave us meaning before no longer work, and we need to find something new. So conservatives are actually being counterproductive. Like they are talking about a real problem, but they're being counterproductive when they say we should return to those things. Those things no longer work. They're unstable.
Their move is to mythologize the past into a way that seems like it's more appetizing to everybody, and then say we can just regain that, when really we never really had the type of especially when you think about it like inclusivity. The past was never what they say it is. But it's easier to frame something as we're going to just regain what we had than what the left tries to do is just we're going to achieve something that hasn't been achieved before.
Appreciate the call, Fernando. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Calling from a 209 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, is this me?
Yeah, I think it is.
What? Oh, bro, y'all done answered my call for the first time, man. What's poppin'?
Who's this?
My name's Jared Brown. I'm from Northern California. You feel me? I'm in graduate school. I listen to your show every day. Hey, I'm gonna keep it real though. I thought that one guy he does the book review. He's always talking randomly. He does a podcast where he reads the books.
Matt?
I think that's me.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Yeah, Matt.
Matt. I thought Matt was a black guy this whole time. He ain't black.
No, he's about as white as they get.
From North Dakota.
He's from North Dakota. I mean,
what made you think he was black?
Damn, North Dakota? That's either white or Native American, but I guess he's white, huh?
He's white. Now, what made you think he was black?
His voice, man, he sounded like see, you guys usually get these nasally callers. That's why I'm glad you answered my call, man. I'm trying to spice up y'all life a little bit. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
But the way he talks, he sounded like one of those. Man, I'm not trying to disrespect you, but like Paris Denard, one of those type of black guys.
I watched Paris Denard for media training.
Yeah, that's where.
Yeah. So I thought you was one of them for a second, and I saw the camera kind of swing to you real quick from that anti-father lady or whatever. And I was like, oh, bruh, this guy white. I thought this whole time y'all had a black person in the building. So that brings me to a conclusion that, I mean, I know every now and then y'all had that Benjamin Dixon guy on. Y'all need some flavor in the studio, man. I mean, you know, Michael Brooks, he a fly dude. He cool, man. I let him come to the projects with me. You understand me? I let him slide up to the hood. I make sure he don't get his pockets ran through. And Sam Cedar, I might bring you. But we need some flavor up there, so y'all got to fly me out to New York, bro.
Well, I mean, maybe we could get some type of GoFundMe going. What do you?
And you know what?
What is your? Wait, now,
story, Sam.
Did you say in
My
graduate
mom,
school?
So I'm in graduate school. I'm at Sac State University.
What do
so
you?
when I'm in class, I usually don't talk like this, but I talk a little more academic vernacular. But you know, I'm having fun right now, man.
What are you studying?
Sociology, actually.
All right. So is that what you want to do though? You want to get the sociology degree and then do a podcast YouTube show?
Maybe. I'm chilling. I'm trying to get in the ivory tower of academia. I'm gonna turn it into the, it's the ivory tower, but I'm gonna turn this into the ebony tower of academia.
Well, send us an email and keep us updated as to when you're coming east. I don't know if we have an east to west or west to east flight program quite yet, but.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do the funny story though. I'm actually multiracial too. So my mom is actually Jewish. We could get this going, man. We could have a.
Wait! I didn't realize that. No, we have tickets available for that. No, I didn't realize that you were. I didn't realize your mom was Jewish.
Yeah.
No, of course, no. We have plenty
my
of,
mom.
We have plenty of funds for that.
I'm lineagely Jewish. I'm like a white supremacist worst nightmare, best dream to find. A black Jew.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1 for them with you.
It's 2 for 1.
Well,
yeah. Hey, well, check it out, man. Y'all see this 209 number pop up? Put me on the affirmative action list once a week.
All right, we'll put you on the. We'll put you. I mean, you get on there twice. Well, the Jew thing, you just get automatically to the front of the line, anyways. But
automatically,
yeah. All right. Well, Jared, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Have a good Thanksgiving.
All right, you too, bro.
Bye-bye. Calling from an 816 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Sam, it's Brad from Kansas City. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. What's happening, Brad?
Not much. I was hoping Janeane was going to still be on because I want her to, feed off of this negative Republican energy that's going on in the heartland because it's becoming too much, for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's been brewing for a while, I got to say, buddy.
Yeah, oh God. So, for example, my 75-year-old grandmother, who was born in a town of about 100 people, we have a lot of farmers in our family, and of course we've been watching cable news like crazy. And as soon as this tariff shit came on about the soybeans, we knew this was going to hit our family. And so thinking, well, okay, these negative effects are going to maybe wake them up to the fact that Trump's a piece of shit. I don't think has worked because she's already passionate enough to go after any Republicans who try to fight her, and she's very fearless about that. But so I guess the subsidies have already started to roll out, and she's already threatened to go down there and start calling them welfare queens, which I really want to get on video because that sounds like fun. But
I want to see that video after you send it in to us.
I will. And yeah, but I tell you what, Trump's brought the worst. Well, I wouldn't say the worst out of her, but I've never seen her so animated. When we watch, we usually watch Rachel Maddow together, and oh my God, we scream at the TV and carry on, and oh God, it's spectacular.
Well, it's great that it's brought you guys together. That I think is good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, are you having Janeane on later?
She is. I'm afraid she is not going to be back on. No.
Well, I did hear part of the Cindy Hyde-Smith, and oh, Jesus Lord, when she does her impressions, including the Catherine Harris, it's, oh my God. You need to have her more on.
I agree. You know,
So
sometimes, yeah, I agree. We have we've entered a new. We found a new racist. It's really hard to find them in the Republican Party. So when you get one, you really gotta use it. Well, Brad, have a good Thanksgiving. Send us that video when your grandmother goes down and harasses the welfare farmers.
Will do. Thanks, guys, and appreciate you guys so much. Like, I'm very politically ignorant, so watching your show has helped a lot. So I appreciate you guys.
Well, thanks, Brad. We appreciate your listening. Thanks. Let's go to 559 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, my name is Jorge. I'm calling from Central California.
Jorge, what's going on?
Well, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about a few experiences here. So I'm actually from the Devon Nunes district.
Oof.
And
that's one of the there is now like, how many California congressional districts remain? Like literally just a handful. It's something like 47 to like 7. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but it is stunning. The Republican Party and Nunes, who won, I think, his last election by like 50 votes. 50 points is going to win this one only by about 6 percentage points, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, last time I checked, it was like around 11, but yeah, maybe 6, 7, 8, something like that. I'm not really sure. So what's actually interesting is that, you know, California, the rural parts of California, which is mostly, I guess, like the east part closer to the mountains, is all very Republican, very rural, very agricultural here. And there are just large numbers of Republican voters. And this is including a large number of Latinos, which, you know, usually tend to vote Democrat. So I actually volunteered for the Andrew Jan's campaign. And it was, I think deep down inside, I knew that the district wasn't going to flip. But it was so close. Like, I would see so many Andrew Jan signs, so much energy for him, that I think towards the end, like, people started, like, really, really hoping that he would actually unseat Devon Nunes. And, of course, he didn't. But this is the first time that Nunes has won by less than, 12, 15 points.
Right.
Let alone, like, 30 or 40, like, last time. But that's kind of the story around here. I actually wanted to tell you real quick about I play on this City League basketball team. And one of our players is like this 50-year-old Mexican guy, right? Good friend of mine, but he is extremely right-wing, which is kind of crazy. His parents came illegally from Mexico, and I think so did he when he was a child, and the majority of his family. But, we talk a lot about politics, and again, the guy he can't stand Donald Trump. He's like, yeah, he's childish, he's all of these things, but his argument is always, I could never, ever vote for Hillary. Never.
Right.
He goes, in my opinion, Obama never did anything right, And even though, like, I bring up these counter arguments and points, there is just no changing the way that some people think. Like, it's impossible. And I do kind of watch Fox News quite a bit because I like to know what people around here think.
Right.
And all of his arguments are like talking points from Fox News, which is crazy. But the story that he told me about when he switched from being a Democrat, because I guess that's what he used to be, to Republican was when his child, this was maybe like 20 years ago, was really young. I guess he went to school, his son, and the school was trying to force some sort of like healthcare program on his son. And my teammate is a very, very proud person, and he completely hated the fact that what he thought Democrats were trying to push free stuff onto him when he could provide health care for his own kid. He goes, it was in that moment I felt so insulted by this idea of freebies that I could never vote for them again. And that was like the thing that like caused him to switch.
It's an interesting perspective, I guess. I mean, I imagine there are some people who, for some reason, get offended at that notion, and maybe because it's not universal, there is it's stigmatized in some respect, and that may be problematic. I mean, that to me is more understandable than the idea that like, oh, this is what our government provides. I mean, because he's going theoretically to a public school, right? I mean, the kid is at a school getting free education. So it's not that your buddy has a problem with the government providing free stuff. It's just that for some reason the free health care was offensive to him, and maybe it was because it's not universal. I mean, and I can understand that maybe, people have an attitude of this is an insult in some ways. I think that's a good argument for universality. I would also imagine that for every, one person who is like that, there are 2 or 3 or more who are like, thank God for this, because I was having trouble doing this, or this is going to allow me to save money for my kid's college, or this is going to allow me to save money to, for his vocational school, or for, Christmas presents, or whatever it is. It's interesting. But California...
Yeah, go ahead.
California now has, by my latest count, 8 representatives out of 53 seats. And you're right, it's all in the eastern districts, except for, I think, the Duncan Hunter one, which is down just outside of San Diego. So some minds have been changed. That's for sure.
And so really quickly about this, the Jans thing. Devin Nunes is Portuguese. And the Portuguese community around here is very large. In Central California, there's a lot of dairymen. My stepdad is actually Portuguese, and he has known Devin Nunes' family for a long time. And my dad's kind of like left-leaning sort of guy. And when I asked him, I was like, we're talking about Devin Nunes. And he goes, I only have one thing to say about Devin Nunes. He was a dumbass when he was a little kid, and he's a dumbass now.
That comports with my assessment of him. That's for sure. Jorge, I appreciate the call.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Calling from a 225 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
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 Is this me?
It is you.
Sam?
Yes.
Oh, hey. So awesome to be on. My name's Samantha. I'm from Louisiana. First-time caller, long-time listener. I just kind of want to go back to the other day when Trump was not going to go outside for the armistice parade.
Well, to be fair, it was raining.
Well, I feel like you guys and TYT, y'all missed the point. It was his hair.
Right.
He did not want people to make fun of his hair.
No, we did not miss that point. Because it came on the heels of what he had said after Pittsburgh. No, I think we explicitly said that. Yeah, no, he was afraid of having a bad hair day.
Well, to me, the whole thing is that it's like all these conservatives, they love the military so much, but then they have this jackass from no offense, but New York. I live in the South. And they don't have like the best opinion of people in the North, and I don't think that they would really like him, but they're so for him, and it just blows my mind that he would do something like that to the military, and then he would insult the people who got Osama bin Laden like he did.
Right.
And they still stand by that. I just really don't get it.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was your name again? Samantha, right.
My name's Samantha.
I don't know why I blocked that out. I would have remembered that.
You call me Sam.
Sam, I I am skeptical of everything that conservatives claim to believe in. I mean, listen, I don't generally, conservatives, I don't necessarily really subscribe to, hard and fast principles that dictate my all the outcomes for the way that I deal with political questions. Okay, mine are just much more sort of like broad precepts of what brings us to sort of the least amount of suffering and the best outcomes type of situation, which tend to be ones that are more associated with the left. But conservatives, they all they talk about is in the context of principles, and I think I'm starting to become. It's clear to me that it is because they're compensating for their utter lack of them. They did, for years we heard about deficit reduction, the deficit or the size of. I mean, I'm just talking over the years and years that I've been doing this, like the adamance with which people proclaimed their adherence to principles that within months later become completely irrelevant is stunning to me. They are, it is more of, I think, a psychological perspective on leadership, and authoritarianism explains so much more of this. I mean, for Barack Obama, like they were mad about him wearing a tan suit, that it was denigrating the prestige of the office, that he once saluted one of the Marines that were stationed outside of, I think it was Air Force One or Marine One. Must have been Marine One, I guess, if it was a Marine, but I can't remember the context, but he was coming out of some aircraft and he saluted holding a coffee cup and he went like this. And that was a scandal for weeks by the right. And not just, look, I get the fact that conservative commentators are making it all up. I mean, I'm not, there was a lot of talk in the past couple of days about the amazing hypocrisy about Ivanka Trump's emails, and I to me that's meaningless. I mean, of course they were lying about Hillary Clinton's. They knew they were lying. It's not hypocrisy because that wasn't the principle they were pushing. But the amazing thing is that I know the followers, the people who don't do this professionally, who just absorb this information, genuinely believed that she had committed a crime because of what she did with her emails, and now they don't care about the exact same activity. Those are the ones who are, it's clear, they have no principles. They're just authoritarian followers. And that is just, nothing could be more self-evident at this point about American politics and about conservatism. I mean, honestly, it's ludicrous. It feels redundant to even talk about it, but it's necessary.
Yeah, it's all tactical and opportunistic, their principles.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, I don't even know if it's on that level, because that's definitely the case with anybody who writes about this stuff or commentates on it. But the people who are saying, I don't even think it's tactical or opportunistic. Yeah. I think it's just literally rote. Like, give me my precepts for the day completely pre-digested, or otherwise I don't know what to do. It's the same impetus that, why they refer to themselves as fundamentalist Christians, and they don't even follow necessarily any of the precepts or the doctrine. But it's like, I need an identity. It's basically me with pants. Like, don't give me many options. I just want to pull the ones out of the drawer and put them on. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, one more thing. Just for anyone out there, I'm a progressive unicorn in a sea of red. If any of you out there want to piss people off in the South, just let them know that, George Bush is the father of ISIS.
There you
and
go.
that's all I have to say, Sam. Hey, thank you.
Appreciate
thank
the call,
you for
Samantha.
letting me call in.
Thanks. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate it. Calling from an 845 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. Who's this?
Awesome. I'm Cece calling from Massachusetts.
Cece from Massachusetts. What's on your mind? Got a lot of new callers today.
Sorry. So I'm Black with a lot of family in New York, so I don't have the crazy relatives to argue with over Thanksgiving. So I make up for that by arguing with people online. And as it turns out, I feel like there's a lot of arguments that could be made or that are made sometimes, like I hear on your show, but not often in other places, that really kind of show the conservative hypocrisy in their positions, and also just make me really angry because it ends up furthering the cause of liberalism and capitalism in order to try and make the point that pushes more towards a fair and more just economic system.
I'm not sure I get your point that it's frustrating because you're having to push back. You're playing more defense than offense.
Yeah, I tend to ramble a little bit. Sorry.
No worries.
So for a more concrete example, it's when I'm a senior in college right now, and looking at my student loans just gives me a huge pang of existential dread, right? So you hear people going, oh, AOC and Bernie and all of them want to forgive student loans and open all that up, and the economic argument is, yeah, you give people more disposable income and the economy moves around more. People buy stuff that goes straight up to the corporations that are selling you stuff. But then they turn around and say that, it's some moral evil or
moral hazard, right? It's a moral hazard.
People,
it's because we don't want to, Cece, we don't want to teach you that you can go into loan and into debt and then get out of it as if you were some type of corporation that could file bankruptcy and go into debt and get out of it.
Exactly. And then they turn around and on a different economic topic, they'll do exactly what you just said. You can go into debt, get out of it. It's completely fine. You can crash the entire economy and get off the strap of the wrist.
There is the argument for this debt. I mean, and I saw a piece written by David Leonhardt, I think it was, in the New York Times, actually, saying eliminating all student debt isn't progressive because it would be a giant welfare program for the upper middle class. Now, I got a little bit confused by the way that he wrote this because he suggested that most of the debt is from people who haven't been able to finish school from for-profit universities. And my understanding is that most of those students are people who have entered the workforce and then gone back to get a degree to help them get a little further along. But nevertheless, the idea that it's not progressive, I mean, who cares? If the argument is, if the argument is that it's going to starve resources from other programs, then you have to reckon for what you said would be the economic benefit that would come from unburdening everyone of their student debt. Like I've said in the past, the chairman of the Home Builders Association, of the American Home Builders Association, points to student debt as to why housing starts, first-time housing starts, are so retarded that the economic benefit of writing off this debt, both in terms of the risks that you will take as an entrepreneur or the benefit you'll provide for society in terms of doing those jobs that have a societal benefit, but would otherwise you'd be priced out of, being a social worker, let's say, or being a teacher. There's a huge benefit to society for this. And theoretically, right, you're going to help people across the spectrum. This argument about you don't want to do something positive for everybody because you'll be helping out people who are rich or not, not super rich, right? The upper middle class we're talking about is silly. I don't mind paying for Donald Trump's college, Donald Trump's kids' college, if everybody else gets a free college. In fact, the best thing that could have happened to this country would be if Donald Trump Jr. and the other guys would have to actually be subjected to people who were not, completely awash in so much money that every decision they made had no consequence. There could have been a moment where they could have gotten some little bit slice of humanity maybe in their lives. But it is, it's self-evident that this debt is a problem for society, that it wouldn't, that relieving people of it wouldn't help the economy. And this question of moral hazard is absurd, because you could easily argue that education is something that is unique within society. It's a value that we want to promote. We do it K through 12. There's no moral hazard that people are going around like, I didn't have to pay for, high school, so I don't expect to pay for anything anymore. Right? Like, no one ever makes that claim.
That's Brendan's problem.
There is a deep and abiding theory behind the concept of Chapter 11 of bankruptcy. Bankruptcy doesn't exist in the wild. There's no, we have bankruptcy, a concept of bankruptcy, because it's important to the economy. That when someone takes a risk to build a company, to hire people, or as an individual, that you want to give them an opportunity to essentially have a second chance. And for what better reason would you want people to have a second chance than to be relieved of the burden of educating themselves more? I mean, it's just absurd. It's just absurd.
Yeah, the argument strikes me as the exact same formulation as the type of people who say, these 3 people steal from welfare, so let's destroy it. It's 31 cases of voter fraud, so let's suppress the vote. Didn't Truman want to sign universal health care, but the segregationists are we're going to have to share a hospital with black people and stop that.
Yep.
So it's you're going to call yourself progressive and then use the same exact arguments as the people whose policies you supposedly accept as detrimental to society. It's just,
I'm really struck.
All of it is very
I'm really struck by, I can understand how people are how debt forgiveness is a slightly different thing than creating a free, college option in every state, or multiple free college ones in every state. But if you're going to, if you buy into the principle of the latter, then the former makes a lot more sense, it seems to me. But it's also, I don't know why there's such a failure of imagination on this. We had virtually free college in multiple states in this country through the 50s into the 60s. We have K through 12 that's free. We've expanded pre-K for free in this New York City, and it hasn't been this huge moral hazard. Now I'm I expect my kids to, I don't know what. So the idea of just
watch out for those grifting toddlers.
Yeah, expanding it. I don't know. But CC, I appreciate the call. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for listening.
You too. Thank you.
Right. All right. We have time for a couple more calls. You're calling from a 215 area code. Who's this?
Hi, Sam. It's Mindy. How are you?
Mindy! How are you, Mindy?
Hi. I really just called to say happy holidays, and I wanted to tell the whole Majority Report family that I love them, and you guys helped me immensely to get through the last 2 years, and I get nervous when you're not. Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you. You've made this show demonstrably better.
Thank you. And I'm coming to your thing. I'm going to buy the tickets today. My husband, Kevin's, coming also.
Oh, great. Are you going to be coming with
Jay and Michelle? I'm going to meet them
Okay.
there.
Oh, fantastic. It's like a reunion.
And if you want, you can come out to dinner with us after.
I don't know.
Think about
we'll
it.
see. I may have the kids
Think
that
about
weekend.
it.
I will think about it.
But you guys, when you're not on, I kind of get lost for a couple hours because I'm can't watch MSNBC anymore. But what I wanted to say, I mean, that's all I was going to say was thank you. But now that you're talking about the school loan thing with the school, I just want to just give you a real quick story. I grew up in Pennsylvania. We're from Pennsylvania. My son was very bright when he graduated college, and he wanted to go to the University of Michigan. And I made him apply to Penn State because we're from Pennsylvania and you get state money. And I was getting divorced at the time, or I was divorced, and money was tough at the time. So he applied to Indiana, Wisconsin, Tulane, Penn State, and University of Michigan. And the only school he wanted to go to was the University of Michigan. So I spent every day saying to him, Chase, you cannot go to University of Michigan unless you get money because it's out of state and it's like $55,000 a year and you're just going to come out there with major loans. Anyway, long story short, he got a merit-based scholarship. It was cheaper than him going to Penn State. He got a full ride to Michigan. All we had to pay for was his room and board based upon merit. Then he got, and I'm not calling to brag, I'm just telling you my story. Then he got a scholarship from one of the people from the Ross Business School to go to Ross, to go and get into the Ross program. And now he works in a really great job in New York. He lives in New York. He's self-sufficient. He's not in my basement. And I don't understand. They're thinking that people like my middle-class son shouldn't get the opportunity to get a scholarship merit-based from the state. I don't get it. Can you try to explain it to me? Because if he couldn't have went there, he would have went to Penn State, and I don't know what kind of. He probably would have gotten a good job, but there's definitely way better opportunities graduating from the Ross School of Business than there are from some of the other schools that he was applying to.
All right. So your point being, that you could extend the principle of erasing student debt as a welfare program for the upper middle class, that people in the middle class or upper middle class shouldn't have the opportunity to get scholarships either. Is that what you're saying? That's
no, I'm trying to say that somebody from middle class,
right?
Somebody like me that was middle class, where he absolutely there was no way he was going to Michigan. There was no way we were going to have him come out of college with $250,000 worth of debt. He never would have gotten ahead. There was just no way. Wouldn't have made sense. He would have had to go to Penn State because it was like 1/10 the price because we're in state. Do you know what I mean? But because this is the argument that this guy makes. And it comes down to this country has too many big problems to start showering the upper middle class with enormous government benefits. Now, I think this is a very narrow perspective on stuff. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Mindy. It's good. I'm glad for your son. Now, I should tell you this: Saul is very smart too. I don't want to brag. I don't want to brag. I don't want to brag, but no, I don't mean he's very smart.
It's okay.
I didn't mean that he's bright. The point, he worked really hard
Saul
too.
Is very bright.
But the point, he was bright enough to get a merit-based scholarship based upon our income at the time, and Michigan gave him money to go there. And had they got rid of those programs, because they want to get rid of those programs, correct?
No, I think you're conflating two things.
Maybe I'm conflating. When am I conflating?
Well,
totally messed this up.
Nobody's calling for the elimination of those programs.
But they don't want to give. Well, they want to take away like the state money for him to have gone to Penn State. That money, right?
Not that I'm aware of. You're making
then
all
what
that.
do they want to do?
No. Somebody was arguing that against eliminating student debt.
David Leonard in the New York Times was thinking if we were to forgive student loans, it's a giveaway to the upper middle class, and it helps them the most.
It does help them the most, but it also makes them get out of our basement.
Right. Well, Mindy,
I have 3 children, and each have a partner. They all graduated college. Everyone's employed.
All right.
Nobody's in the basement.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad. But I got to tell you, Saul is very, very smart.
I'll argue against merit-based scholarships. Merit-based scholarships are bad because it's only the kids who come from like households that are conducive to getting educations, read like wealthier kids, that are going to win the merit-based thing. I mean, that's why things like affirmative action and those things are good. But yeah, I think I look at merit-based scholarships the same way I look at philanthropy, which is like a Band-Aid that's not actually solving the problem.
So did I miss this whole point totally?
A little bit. But Mindy,
I'm
I am
sorry.
so glad that you called. I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. You and yours. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We
But
really
anyway,
appreciate
I'm
it.
into the debt forgiveness. Is
Okay.
that? Can I clean it up with that?
That's perfect.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Bye,
Okay,
Mindy.
I'm into the
Have
debt
fun.
forgiveness.
Have a good
Have a
Thanksgiving.
great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Bye. All right. We got time for one more call, folks. That's it. I am sorry. We've had a lot of new callers, though, today. All right. One more call. I know we have people who have been on the line for almost 2 hours. Calling from a 209 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Who's this?
Oh, this is Daniel from the 10th District of California.
Daniel, what's on your mind? Got to be quick. You're the final call.
Oh, sorry.
Of the week.
Yesterday, I had a birthday. I just wanted to shofar.
That's perfect.
I'm very sorry.
Happy birthday. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Okay, God bless.
All right, thanks, man. There it is, the shofar for Daniel on his birthday, and a couple IMs, then we got to get out of here. Gillinator, I realize you have your exploratory committee, but as long as we're playing political fantasy football, what about AOC primarying Schumer in 2022? I don't know.
Will she be old enough? How old do you have to be to run for senator?
Oh, that's a good question.
'Cause she's young.
What? That's nuts. Sean, didn't the Republicans criticize Democrats for liking Saudis and ignoring 9/11 and human rights violations? The hypocrisy is so thick you could spread it on toast. Camp, Superior Court judge in Maine forcing Republican Governor Paul LePage to implement Medicaid expansion after multiple vetoes and a ballot initiative. It's almost like the courts matter on a state level, too. The Chris Lepaco, do you think there's any chance that Trump knew about the Khashoggi killing in advance? He hates I don't think he did. I think he just, I think, they just got the sense from him that they could do whatever they wanted. Nate from KC, I tried watching a Kyle Kalinske interviews Jimmy Dore video. My brain is hurting. I know. Did this to myself. Thanks for being here, Sam, Matt, and Brendan. Happy Thanksgiving. Psychedelic Quaker sent an email of a short phone call I had with my U.S. congressman about Medicare for all, PAYGO, and the Social Security gap. I'll look for it. Soggy flatulence. I miss Jamie. Okay, fake news. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Also, the Georgia Secretary of State runoff is December 4th. Go out and vote for John Barrow. Sam's Tinder profile. Hey, girl, swipe right. I'm thankful for you and Social Security reports. Morella, Sam, for those of us who live far away, will you do a live stream of your show in Brooklyn? We won't do a live one, but we probably videotape it. Congressional baseball fan. It's tradition for merry Americans to play a game of football with family on Thanksgiving. This year, try something different. It's never too soon to practice pitching and hitting. Be thankful that spring training is only a few months away. Social Jewish warrior. How do you interact with conservative friends? Would be curious for Janine's response. I watch RBG and they focus on Ginsburg's close friendship with Scalia. One of her friends said they can never have been friends with Scalia. I have one friend who is Paul Ryan acolyte. I find this worldview utterly disgusting. I agree. We do not.
That's bizarre. What is your media diet where you come away from it thinking Paul Ryan is a guy to look up to?
Well, for a long time, it could have been just about anything.
Washington Post.
Yeah. And the final IM of the week before we get there, folks. Let me just tell you, take this opportunity to thank all of you who support this program. And frankly, thank all of you who listen or watch this program. We can't do it without you, obviously. I am very grateful for being able to do this for a living. And also thanks to Matt and Brendan and Michael and Jamie. The best crew of any podcast out there. I mean, except for like the Pod Save America guys. They're just so much fun.
Their producers are a lot of fun too.
Those guys are they're the best. But you guys are also, you're up there. I can't wait to find out which one of you guys secretly works for a Republican PR firm.
I got a funny story about the Pod Save guys. I'll tell you after.
What?
I'll tell you.
Why wouldn't you tell us now? Not appropriate. Okay, great.
Inside info.
After dark.
But honestly, thank you all. We will see you Monday. Have a great Thanksgiving. There'll be a show not tomorrow, but there will be one on Friday. We will be back live on Monday. Happy Thanksgiving. And the final I am of the week. Race is the presiding force over today's politics, says Black Marxist. My fellow gay POCs fought for a guy like Dave Rubin, who then turns around and fully identifies with white supremacy. Marxists too often miss this in their class analysis. All right, folks, see you later.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the light bar, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. I guess somewhere the choice was made for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive